Hello everyone, welcome to Big Data Knowledge Hunt. In the today's video, we will be seeing the new topic, that is the NoSQL databases. So yes, the NoSQL database is one of the database which is used in big data. So whenever we are dealing with big data, we generally go with NoSQL databases. So we know that we have used SQL or MySQL. So these are the relational or traditional databases. But nowadays many companies are going with NoSQL databases. So it is a technology or database technology driven by the cloud computing service, big data users, and it leads to different popular companies are using NoSQL databases such as LinkedIn, Google, Amazon, Facebook. So these are used to overcome the drawbacks of a traditional old 40 years old rdbms, that is relational traditional database systems. So NoSQL generally stands for not only SQL. So it is an alternative to the SQL database which does not require any kind of fixed table schema. So in SQL we know we have to write a schema based on the table. So NoSQL deals with rather than the tabular relationship, we can provide a mechanism to store and retrieve the data. So these databases are schema free. They support the easy replication and have simple API. They provide different consistency features and they can handle a huge amount of data. So the NoSQL databases use different data structure compared to the traditional databases, and it makes the operation faster. The suitability of a given NoSQL depends on the problem it must solve. So how is the structure? It is different based on the database, and it covers the multitude database, means each having a different kind of storage model. There are different types of NoSQL database. I will be preparing a detailed video on what are the different types of databases, what are their names, and how is the structure of that database. There are most popular common type of databases are graph based, key value based, and columnar based, and document based. So these are the four types of NoSQL databases, and further types are there. So why we are going to choose NoSQL database instead of the traditional database for big data? So NoSQL database, these are the some of the name of the NoSQL databases, that is HBase, Couchbase, Cassandra. So why we are choosing these databases over the SQL or the traditional databases? Because whenever we are working with big data, we have to work on large amount of data. So the applications and the database need to work with large amount of data. To manage this facility or to use this facility, we have to use NoSQL. Whenever we are working with large amount of data, we have to go with NoSQL instead of the traditional databases. Big data needs a flexible data model with a better database architecture, because to update the data or to manage the data structure or the database should be more resilient as well as determined and consistent, and it should be flexible. So to achieve all these features, we have to use NoSQL. To process the big data, these databases need continuous application availability with the model transaction support. So the data should be, means real time streaming should be possible with the database, and the data should be available continuously, and it should provide a great transaction support. So these are the some of the things why we choose NoSQL instead of the SQL or the traditional. So we'll go with the difference between the NoSQL versus the relational database. So the relational databases are SQL and MySQL, whereas the NoSQL databases are Cassandra, HBase, and there are many other databases such as CouchDB or Amazon Dynamo. We'll see in the further videos. So the relational database supports the query language. As we know, SQL supports the very powerful query language. We have to route powerful SQL queries to access or to write or to update the data. Whereas NoSQL supports a very simple query language which is easy to understand to any user and which is very interactive. In relational database, we have a fixed type of schema which should be followed whenever we are writing the queries. Whereas in NoSQL, there is no such fixed type of schema. So this makes additional advantage of NoSQL for the programmers. Relational database, we know that relational databases follows the ACID property, that is atomicity, consistency, isolation, and durability. These are the four properties followed by the relational databases, that is MySQL or SQL, whereas the NoSQL database only follows the eventual consistency factor. Also, there are some additional properties which is known as the CAP theorem. So I will be preparing a separate video on the CAP theorem. The CAP theorem is a property that is followed by the big data databases and the big data architecture. So big data follows the CAP theorem property. So the NoSQL only follows the eventual consistency. Next is the support transaction. The relational database supports the transaction, means we can create multiple transactions to update, delete or modify the data or to insert the data, whereas in NoSQL transactions are not supported, means we have to write a single query at a time. These are some of the basic differences between the relational as well as the NoSQL. So I hope everyone is clear with the idea what is meant by NoSQL database and what is the difference between the NoSQL and relational database. So in the further videos we will be seeing why different types of NoSQL are used in big data and how they are used. So thank you for watching the videos. For more such videos on big data and machine learning, stay tuned to my channel. Don't forget to subscribe it. Thank you everyone.